Hey guys, welcome to Shot to the Nog with John and Eric.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, this is our first attempt at a podcast, and we hope you guys enjoy it. It's gonna be something different.
Awesome. We're ready. You got the two crazies coming together.
So for those of you who don't know us, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Eric Claros. I am a black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt at Enigma, located in Long Island City, New York. And with me is my brown belt and one of my damn good friends, John Negron, who happens to have black belts in other martial arts as well.
But I'm a white belt for life.
Yeah. So John,
What's up?
yeah. So explain what got you into martial arts.
Well, I was a product of my environment. Growing up in, I guess you could say, a broken household, you basically have to find an outlet, like most kids that are very hyper and crazy.
Absolutely.
And that was one of my ways to tap into a place. I found a place where I can tap all this anxiety and energy and excitement and probably ADD and ADHD and
All of them.
all of these things.
Every one of them.
Exactly. So, this is one of the amazing things about martial arts, right? That you can take all this, especially this male, combustible testosterone type of energy and it can take it and put it and it's the best machine, I think,
Yeah.
to take that kind of energy and direct it, and that's what martial arts is.
Yeah, it's a great way to focus all that bad energy you might have in you and turn it into something good, like good energy. And martial arts is very, very much, I think, one of the best outlets for troubled people.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah, we're both screwed up in the head, so that's where this
And
is.
if you're tuned into us, you probably are too.
Yeah,
So.
yeah,
But that's all. We found a place. This is your home now.
yeah. And to he's now you've been training 30 plus years martial
Yeah,
arts.
about 30. My
30
brother
plus
started
years,
me
yeah.
when I was a kid. He put a gi on me, and basically he was practicing on me. He just needed a
Nice.
dummy.
Just yeah.
And he started kicking my butt, and then evidently I got fanatic about it. And I was at a place where I also needed to have a sense of preservation, and it was one of the many reasons why I train martial arts, to just survive and mentally, emotionally.
Excellent. And what's the first martial art you encountered?
I would have to say probably my brother started with at the time he called it Korean kickboxing or Korean style karate, and but it's now I know because I learned who his. This was when I was like 8 years old, and I recently ran into the gentleman who started my brother, and it's funny because he looks at me like at somebody that's spectacular and amazing and respectfully, but
Nice.
it's actually basically like I guess now he does it as point karate, I guess. But
Oh.
back then it was evolving from karate, taekwondo, and goju-do, and all the it became sport, and that's the evolution. I started with that.
Nice. That's really cool. And after that, what was your next martial art that you encountered?
After that, I did a little bit of a boxing, street boxing, slap boxing, jailhouse, because I was in I was around a lot of street tough guys.
Right.
And then in 1982 was I got into the ninja boom that hit America.
Yeah, man. I remember that stuff, man. It was American Ninja. I love that movie with what's his Michael
Oh,
Dudikoff.
that was the best.
Yeah.
He possessed great skill.
I think I have that on VHS still. I'm pretty sure I do.
Oh my God, that movie! I started with Shokusugi though. I'm sure you guys out there know, probably aware of the 80s. You gotta know who Shokusugi is. Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. Those are good movies, man.
That movie was where I put a lot of my. I fantasized. I lived the fantasy. I was able to get away from my psychologically get away from this horrible life I had at
Yeah.
the time and just went into being a ninja.
Yeah.
And plus, I was partially an emo, so it was just perfect. It was just perfect.
That's really cool, ninjutsu, and it was really the biggest thing here in the '80s, man. Everybody was a ninja. Everything was ninja related. Everything was.
You tell me there's stuff that I wish these younger generations can see. We had the Ninja Star belts.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
We had that
I
belt
remember
that it pops out.
Yeah,
we had the
yeah.
knives inside,
Yeah.
and you were able to in the 80s. And here's the kicker: in the 80s, 42nd Street wasn't like what it is today.
No,
You remember that?
Yeah.
They had
Yeah,
like
it was
pawn
very
shops
different.
everywhere. It was like 42nd Street was all pawn stores
Yeah.
and one martial arts store
Yeah,
right
yeah,
in the
yeah.
middle.
Right there.
And that's where I used to buy all my ninja
Swords
weapons.
and all kinds,
claws.
nunchucks.
Yeah, anything you ever could think of.
Bruce Lee shoes.
Yes, we all went there.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. How when I was a kid, I loved Bruce Lee and pro wrestling, and there was a little store by my house, and they sold martial arts weapons, and they sold the entire Bruce Lee outfit from the black, the black shirt.
Oh my God! I used to walk around in school with those.
And I was so fat, right? I couldn't buy the suit because Bruce Lee is tiny man, right? So I only bought the shoes. So I would wear like jeans and stuff and t-shirts and Bruce Lee shoes, the black canvas martial arts shoes, right? Because
I did the same thing with the ninja shoes. I used to go to school.
I was such an idiot, but I loved Bruce Lee so much. It was the best. It was a good time.
Oh, he was definitely an inspiration for a lot of people. I think me too. Everybody, all of us.
Absolutely, man.
Remember the 3 o'clock on Saturdays? They had the 3 o'clock Kung Fu
Movies.
drive-in theater. Is it called? What was it called?
It was it was on Channel 5 and Channel. Yeah, it was cool, man. If you weren't watching martial arts on a Sunday, I don't know what you were doing. Because back in the day here in New York, it was martial arts.
That was the thing. That's what it was.
Every damn.
If you weren't breakdancing too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, breakdance and martial arts. They kind of go hand in hand, I think.
Yeah.
So from ninjutsu, after that, what was your next martial art?
I played around with a few different things, but obviously like everybody else in the 90s.
Yeah.
93 was the UFC, 94,
first UFC.
95, yeah. By 95, I was already looking for a place. I remember sitting with my ninjutsu master in what we call the Taikai. His name was Jack Holman. And I'm part of the Bujinkan at the time.
Right.
And they were the foremost authority at the time. So I remember sitting in and I looked at the UFC fight. We were in Atlanta, Georgia. And I said to him, wow, I would love to represent ninjutsu up there in that ring.
Very cool.
And at the time he said, yeah, come to train with me in my backyard at the house.
Right.
But I really realized that I needed more.
Mm-hmm.
I needed, and I went looking, and I went first upstate to, I think it's Utica, upstate New York. I met a school up there was called Grappler's Quest, which is Nick Sanzo, who was actually in the early UFCs. He fought against Jerry Boline and got tapped out.
Nice.
But I actually was training with him right before the fight. He was getting ready for the fight. When I met him, I started training with him, and then after a while, I moved back to New York, and then I went to Henzo's when he was in Manhattan. I remember this was really early days. I think Matt Serra was still a blue belt. This is the first person who ever tapped me. I remember it was a double armbar.
Nice.
And this was back in the day when he was Craig Cookout. And that was the beginning. And then I needed to learn more and more and more. I started thinking I was watching all the Gracie challenges and the videos and Gracie in action. And
great videos. Awesome videos.
Stuff. That was early day stuff.
Yeah, man. Back in the day when everybody thought their martial art was the biggest deal, and then here comes Horian and here comes Hoyce and all of them, and they go from gym to gym, like they just open the door and said, hey, you think your martial art's great? Yeah, come on through.
And it's funny because a lot of the younger generations, when I'm talking about the millennials, I guess, right? Yeah. They don't really understand. We actually was part of this evolution, I call it. I remember it was Art Davey in the early days with UFC. And we went through this process where it wasn't MMA yet. It was still jiu-jitsu versus the world.
It was one martial art versus the other martial art. There was no mixed martial arts. One person was training one martial art.
And that was it.
And everyone thought that their martial art was the shit.
Until they got tapped out.
until the Gracies came through.
And you can see all the UFCs, that you see the evolution and its process. And there were the political issues that we lived through.
For sure.
We went 10, 20 years where we couldn't get MMA legalized. And you remember that whole process? Yeah. So it's been a crazy journey.
It has been, and it's been a hell of a lot of fun to be able to say, hey man, I saw this get from here to there, and we it was not legal. MMA was not legal up until 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because we wanted it so bad. There was people, I don't know if I can say their names, but you know who you are, with the Underground Combat League. Where I was training with my professor at the time, who was basically an old school jiu-jitsu guy, but it was really modern Vale Tudo applications done because he had to commercialize it. Right. But this is where we were doing it, and we were taking underground fights. Which actually hurt me in the long run because I was doing it under this organization, and then they found out, Jersey found out, because we had by that time they had legalized it in Jersey. So when I went to go, when it was time for me to fight, the guy in Jersey found out, and he was just like, "Nah, you can't fight," and it kind of hurt me a little bit because I was doing a lot of this stuff. But we were doing it way back in the days, even closing gyms down. I was at Valley Sort of Fitness in 95, 96. We were closing the doors and taking fights. I was retarded. I learned some, I think back then you learned like some basic moves and you thought you were the baddest, but they worked. You do the takedown, take them down, mount, the basics, and it worked against guys.
And pretty much everybody back in the days, the main style of martial art was striking. Everybody was striking, karate striking.
Like you just said at the beginning of this podcast, you said Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
he was the influence, and he.
So when you get a striker and you put him in the ring, a grappler, I mean, even the most basic of techniques will work. Even the most basic.
Especially if they don't have any.
If they have no idea, right? Yeah. And it sucks because a lot of these guys that the Gracies would fight, they would be so deep into their own martial art, they legit thought that they were untouchable.
Yeah, it's that what Bruce Lee called the not religiosity, but when they think that their art is the gospel truth.
Yes.
And they just like, no, you cannot. My art's the best. And people get religious about it because they're passionate. You know what I mean? Yeah. But this is where I love mixed martial arts conceptually as well, and this is something that Bruce Lee probably, if he was around today, would probably rotate.
I mean, in Enter the Dragon, he's got those MMA gloves. He's fighting
way before, right?
Yeah.
There's a story to
which
that,
is cool, and he finishes the guy with an armbar.
Yeah,
right.
So even it was
this
already,
Bruce Lee, master striker,
so
finishing a fight with a submission.
Imagine that. I sometimes I wonder what he would be doing if he was around.
He would be training. He would be training.
Like at least it would have been legalized.
Like
a while
Chuck
ago.
Norris. Chuck Norris started jiu-jitsu, man. He started jiu-jitsu and like with the Machados. And he knew his striking wasn't the be all end all, right? And he's Chuck Norris.
Yes. At the end of the day, I think everyone got that the rude awakening. I hate to say rude; it sounds negative, but let's call it what it is.
It was a shot to the nog, eh?
Shot to the nog. By the way, that's the name that we're going to go with, and we it just fits. It fits for our quirkiness.
I had to fit it in. I had to squeeze it in.
It goes perfectly for what we're talking.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
We are like interesting characters, and that's our goal. We're gonna start. We want to bring that element of. Let's test it almost. Let's see
what you
guys think. Let's if you got a question, let's question the question and see what we get out of it. Have a good time in the process.
If you don't like us, hey, what the hell?
But at the end of the day, we're all about having fun.
Yeah.
It's again like
if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
that goes with everything in life.
Exactly.
So, so you train jiu-jitsu for, let's say, what now? How many years?
I'm
on and off, in and out, as much as you want to.
Yeah, because I was always trying to be loyal to so many arts. I did so many different things. I've always loved. I honestly got to say, I was liberated by one of Bruce Lee's books. I just want to throw this in there. He has a book. Now I can't think of it. I didn't prepare for this, but he has a book that I read, and it liberated me mentally as to how to get. Because I was a traditionalist for a while with the ninjutsu, and then it's funny because a lot of stuff. When I started getting better in the ninja arts, I started realizing that it was already changed for like 3 decades. It's already evolved from what it was originally made. It was very jiu-jitsu looking, classical samurai jiu-jitsu, Tori Tegon Gata, all that stuff was very samurai-esque. And what happened is because of the 80s with people suing and all the stuff that was happening politically and the evolution of the martial arts in the world, my teacher Hatsumi had to evolve it. There were a lot of people suing. He also wanted to make it so that it's maximum efficiency, minimum effort, not just in the art, but in how to sell it.
Right.
He is a genius in that way. He's an artist. He made it more philosophical and I guess that's physical. It's like a physical philosophy is what I label it. Other people have other nicknames that are not so colorful.
Right.
But I think that. I lost my train of thought here, but I think that what it is that it needed to change, and that's basically what happened.
Right.
I lost my train of thought. I got a shot to the noggin right there.
We might need a couple of shots afterwards.
Yes. Oh.
All right. So the question was. What the hell was the question? Right. No. It was.
Oh, this is great.
It was. It was right. So, how long have you been training jiu-jitsu?
Oh yeah. So what happened?
Was it been 20 years?
It wasn't effective. That's what it was. Yes. I started in 95. 95. I say 96 because as I get longer and I realize I haven't got the black belt yet, I try to like drag it.
Yeah.
But I just started
but
90.
see, here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? You are a black belt, but you just decided to switch.
I did.
To and we'll get into that later on. You already have a black belt, except you are just not recognizing it yourself because you want the just to be as legit as possible.
Yeah, I wanted to learn. I'll explain why. The jiu-jitsu that I learned, it was effective. It was my professors at the time was Kamazaki. He learned from Marcelo Mello, who was also in the UFC, and who was there's politics involved there. Now we're getting into politics.
Right.
He was with originally Carlson Gracie, and then they had a fallout. And I'm not going to get into the detail on there because I'm not at liberty to say.
Right.
But it was political, maybe girl related.
Yeah.
So one thing led to another. He had a fallout. So Carmine then there was the licensing issues and black belt issues because Marcelo Miller had to transfer over to training under Gracie, Hoyler Gracie. So anyway, that's our lineage. Our lineage is more valid too, though. We train mostly in no-gi, and Carmine's ranking was different. He showed you he had a curriculum, which he learned. He officially learned. Especially he was intense up to his brown belt, especially.
Right.
And it was based on jiu-jitsu, but more for like back in the Gracie Challenge days. It was very based on that. So. That's what we had. I trained with him for a while, and I did in 2012. I received a black belt under him, which I do. It's official. I got it. It's legit.
Right.
But I felt that I wanted that with the evolution of jiu-jitsu, because you know that jiu-jitsu became 3 sports from one sport.
Right.
It became the point system gi, which is like IBJJF.
Right.
And then you have no gi grappling, which is the rules were evolving in that direction. And then there's also MMA. And which is jiu-jitsu originally comes from jiu-jitsu, Gracie jiu-jitsu with punching.
Yeah.
And I just felt like there was always political problems. I always felt 2 things. It was political, but also I like to motivate myself. As I said in the beginning of the podcast, I will always be a white belt for life. I don't have any issues with challenging myself. And I felt like I wanted, without a shadow of a doubt, to get that. There's so much politics, as you know, in jiu-jitsu as it is, that I just wanted to make sure that I was earning what I wanted to earn. I did earn it. I fought, and there's people out there that tell you, I got people I've known, people I've trained under Enzo up to I got my blue, and I've trained with Lotus, obviously, and I trained with so many gyms in here and in between until I met our professor, Leo Larigo, which just at the time, it was also political because I told him what I had. I wanted to join my old professor, his school closed down, so I needed to join another association. I needed to align myself with somebody.
Right.
And he was the one because I got to know you guys also.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't want to drop any other names, but
no.
There were other people involved that we know.
Yeah, right.
And there was a whole lot more stories that we'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
We'll save it for other podcasts to keep you guys coming for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, one thing led to another. I said to him, look, I like to train with you, join you, tell me what I got to do. I think you remember this.
Yeah.
And
we sat down. We sat down and we spoke, and hell, you wanted to start at white belt.
Yes. Yeah. Which I'm not trying to sandbag, but it wasn't. It was more about humility. It's more about me saying, look, I don't care. Give me a white belt, give me a blue belt, give me a purple belt. I don't care. I just want to train you, so I want to learn it.
And at that time, like we told you, it's fine, man. You can start at brown because you already have so much experience.
And he did test me, by the way. He actually ran me. I rolled with him. He passed me to some stuff. And I actually was thinking, because I had heard that Hickson starts his people when they join his association at purple, right? And I had told him, Professor, if you want to start me at purple, I don't have a problem with that. And he said, don't worry about it. You know so much already. You just got to learn the rest.
Yeah.
Stay with me and you'll get it. And then obviously some things happened that expanded it, the time period a little more, but it's fine.
Let's see. Now, you and I met at Lotus Club, and that was a good almost 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, I think, I don't know if I had gotten my blue belt. I think you had came to that promotion. You had went from blue to purple.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I was a white belt or a blue belt, but I was very, very early on in my training. Right? I've only been training 10 years, mind you.
And let me tell you something, people that you don't know, and I'm going to speak for Eric here now. Eric is one of those gentlemen that's super gifted. You know, I always say that there's those who are skilled, there's those who are talented, but then there are those who are gifted. Eric, by far, is one of the people who I personally feel, and I've been around a lot of people, a lot of fighters, and you guys all know who I am. That Eric's one of those gentlemen that is gifted. Like, you don't see it because you see him. He's very he's like Bruce Banner in a lot of ways. Very unassuming.
I don't look like a martial artist.
Exactly.
I've never looked like a martial artist. Up until very recently, I look more like a martial artist now.
Yes, that's true. Now you know. You also, once you get to know Eric too, you'll know.
But like forever, I was just a chubby guy. I worked in corrections, right? New York City corrections, and I very unassuming. You would not know anything about me, right? Up until now, recently, I guess I just had to change my look, right? Because the doctors were telling me scary shit too, so I had to lose a bunch of weight to begin with, right? But I totally can see how if on the street you met me, you wouldn't know at all if I was a black belt. Maybe now, I guess, maybe the ears give it away a little bit. I have cauliflower ears, but. I mean, if you don't know it, like if you just bump into me on the street,
it's done because you're gonna be like, oh, give me your money, and next thing you know, you got like a wrist lock, a finger broken, a torn ear, because he's also one of the guys that he's got the foundations and the fundamentals of jiu-jitsu down, but on top of that, he's got like what we would call in the old school some of the grimy techniques, and he's learned it from catch wrestling. He's learned it from years of corrections and come-alongs and just experience, world experience, rolling with so many top-level guys, champions. I mean, and just learning and growing and growing. Like
that was the great thing about when I started with Lotus Club. My old professor, he had so many friends that they would stop by the gym. Like there's like a lot like Shaolin and Vitor Shaolin and I met Robson Maura. I met a lot of high-level black belts. And I actually got to train with a few of the guys because they would stop by the gym. They were in for some super fights at the Pride tournaments. They were like doing super fights, and they'd come in to Eduardo's gym and just to train, right? Because he's buddies with everybody.
Yeah, it was like it was also the early days of IBJF, so they were organizing and they were getting to know each other. I mean, it was
cool, man. It was a good time. I think I started it. It was a good time for jiu-jitsu because it's starting to get really big now here in New York.
Now it's huge. But
there's a gym everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere, a couple blocks.
I think it's because more of the sport,
yeah.
Like,
I mean, because there's money to be made there. A lot of the pro fighters now, they're making bank.
That's
they're making a lot of money, and they're finishing. They're doing main events and stuff every fight. They're getting paid. It's a good time to be a professional in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Although you have to be really, really good.
And not such a good time to be in the Jiu-Jitsu MMA.
Right,
it's evolved with the UFC and everything that's been going on.
Yeah.
And it became an extreme sport.
Yeah.
So, on that side.
And the catch wrestling, I am a huge, huge pro wrestling fan. I wanted to be a pro wrestler when I was younger. And I never had the chance to do it, but I absolutely wanted to be a pro wrestler. And because of my love for pro wrestling, I found catch wrestling. And I used to have all these VHS tapes on catch wrestling and
awesome.
and at Lotus Club there was this guy Hermes Franca who actually knew some catch because he trained in Brazil and he would they call it luta libre over there. And like he showed me a couple of cool techniques that I've absorbed, and over the years, just by doing research and stuff, I've learned a lot of great catch wrestling applicable to jiu-jitsu because a lot of the catch wrestling stuff is illegal in IBJJF tournaments. A lot of the leg locks, neck cranks, all that stuff. But there's a lot of applicable stuff that you can use, and a lot of jiu-jitsu guys they don't realize it because catch wrestling is not about the technique.
No.
Catch wrestling is just grab it and rip it out, right? They'll take your arm and they'll break it, and they don't really care how they get to it. There's no setup. There's no sweep.
This is the perfect place for a sound effect.
Yeah, because legit, man, if you watch catch wrestling, these guys they just grab and go. There's no beautiful setup. Jiu-jitsu is beautiful. Everything in jiu-jitsu is amazing. It's A, B, C. Catch wrestling, it's right to Z. There's no lead up most of the time.
And that's what I love. And let me tell you something. That's one of the things about Eric that a lot of people don't understand. And I just got to put it out there because people don't. You're the unknown, the person that people don't realize that has brought that element to jiu-jitsu, and you're just bringing it in now. Yeah. I have a feeling in the next 10 years it's going to be in jiu-jitsu ultimately. Anyway,
it should be. It should be. A lot of this stuff it's really good stuff, man.
One of the things that fascinate me also is that I'm learning jiu-jitsu, and here I'm learning that here comes Eric, and he puts in these locks, and they're like, wait, that's legal? And we're like, yeah, here it's this way it is, but this way, I would, it's a little grimy here.
You have to alter it because a lot of the stuff is very mean-spirited.
Yes.
Catch wrestling, some of the best catch wrestlers in the world are very scary people.
It's scary. You're not
Josh Barnett. Josh Barnett is an amazing catch wrestler, right? And he learned from some of the highest level guys on the planet. And like if you watch him in the UFC when he was champion and all this other stuff, his stuff is nasty, and he's a good striker too. But mind you, if he goes to the ground, he'll smash.
I think before the Gracies evolved the jiu-jitsu to be the way it is, I think at that era and just outside of that, just before that era, it already existed, the catch wrestling, because you can see how it evolved into professional wrestling too, if you know the history of Farmer Burns and all that.
Yeah.
And I really think that what happened was that and from learning the history of this family, they tend to modify and manipulate and control kind of where they're going. And it's not, I'm not saying this to be negative. They probably had a marketing campaign happening.
Genius marketers.
Yeah, exactly.
The Gracie families know how to sell.
Yeah. So
they know how to sell.
It would be my humble opinion to say that that's probably what happened. They kind of made it safer. They had a good philosophy. Right. They made it effective, but without causing injuries. When it comes to business, we know that you kind of you're teaching kids and family and older ladies and older non-athletic people. You kind of want to make it safe. And judo did the same thing as well. Yeah. So I just think that's what had happened to it. And so a lot of this catch wrestling and these styles before, I guess just before shoot fighting, this is what happened basically with the arts. You know what I mean? But it's always existed. I look at, perfect example, you tell me how you're unassuming. Very ninja, you know. But you also see that a lot of this catch wrestling, there's a lot of similarities with the traditional jiu-jitsu, wrist lock.
Well, there's a lot of people there's a debate about how maybe jiu-jitsu actually came from catch wrestling, because Maeda, he wanted to be a pro wrestler, right? And that's why he traveled the world. He was trying to be a pro wrestler.
I could buy that.
And maybe the stuff that he showed the Gracies was catch wrestling related.
You know what? I think, or at least it was originally.
Yeah.
I also do believe your concept because, your theory, because you can probably trace it back to the original Olympic Games way back in, what is it, Athens? When was the original 400, 600 BC? Yeah. AD, right? Yeah. And when we're talking about pancration, we're talking about pancration, which basically means all strengths, which is like the historically forerunner of mixed martial arts. Right. There's the best of every style. Yeah. And Bruce Lee's rolling in his grave right now. Yeah. You know?
But yeah, so like, I mean, I love catch. I love pro wrestling. I love all things related to that.
Also known as catch as catch can.
Yeah, catch as catch can, which is great. And
hook fighting some terms.
Yeah, hook. Yeah, and they actually have it broken down. There's submissions that they call hooking, which means it's like they grab it and there's no like they don't want you to tap. No. Right? They hook the submission. It's called hooking because they hook it and it's done. It's a wrap. Your shoulder's ripped, your arm is broken, or your neck is broken, right? And that's hooking. And then they have the submissions. The submissions are actually the ones that they can control. Mm-hmm. They do it so you tap, right? But then that's the problem with catch wrestling, man. That's a lot of this stuff is dangerously dangerously.
And here's a good point. I want to tap into this. My teacher. Hatsumi's teacher was talking about, so he was known as like the last assassin, basically, like the last real living warrior fighting using ninja. Yeah. But a lot of people don't know some of his stories were based, like when I hear you talk about catch wrestling, how the rules were, when they used to compete against other schools, like they did in catch wrestling, this is when they had to create a system of soft rules, like, honor system, sportsmanship. Right. Like they say, listen, because if I hook you, you're not going to tap, but it depends on who's fighting and why. Right. But in the old days, it existed. I hear stories of Takamatsu. He lost his ear. He broke his elbow. Nice. They used to throw each other and hit each other on the way over, smash, make you land on your head. This is classical jiu-jitsu. We're talking about the forerunner of judo. Right. And catch wrestling is the same thing. You see that history, the evolution from all these old styles, and I guess that's why you had to kind of evolve it. You know what I mean? Like, make it softer.
I mean, no one would be able to do it.
No, you'll be injured. You just said it. You just said it. Like you get hooked.
You break.
It's done. You're
gonna or you're dead.
Yeah, you're broken.
Right.
Or dead.
Or dead. Right.
Unless you won.
It's
and
vicious,
even winning
man.
caused you. It's like
vicious.
the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
Even winning doesn't mean that you're gonna leave out of that without some kind of being maimed or injured.
Some things broken.
So that's how fighting was originally, and then it evolved into what we have today. Right. Gloves and pads.
And there we went off on a tangent. I completely forgot what we originally talked about. So to get back to what we were trying to point out there is that
shot to the knock.
Shot to the knock. You and I met a good 10 years ago.
Yes.
And
it's been that long.
I know, right? Two people in their 40s here. So you got these parallel lives that we've lived. You went in one direction, I went in a completely other direction, and here we are. We met once again.
Yeah.
And in between all the life things that have happened, we've kept in contact. We've
Yeah,
kept
always.
as when you joined in Enigma and you joined Professor Lear and me. We always kept in contact, and you've always been representing us.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I just want to throw this out there. Even if I couldn't be around this on an everyday basis, once I was accepted, I was always loyal to whatever school I was in because I come from old school jiu-jitsu where they had the creonca and all these different things. I'm also old school traditional jiu-jitsu, which I've done kobudo, and you start learning. A lot of this stuff that I carry today, and you carry as well. We're kind of like a dying breed.
It is. It's especially nowadays because, I mean, there's so many gyms and people. It's hard to find a good loyal student, and I'm not saying that negatively, right? I'm saying that because
people think, especially with mixed martial arts,
this is martial arts is a service, right?
Yeah.
And our jobs is to provide this service, and some people just maybe this is not gym for me. I'll go somewhere else and get my service from someone else. And
just for the record, we're entering a very sensitive conversation. I guess I don't know if we have enough time, but this conversation we're entering now, this could be the topic of our next conversation about loyalty in the school versus being able to train and cross train. That's a whole big area, which I think we could probably have a whole day on that one,
for
right?
sure, absolutely.
But I love to hear people's opinion on this one. But I'll tell you, and I guess before we're done, my opinion personally is, look, I believe that people should cross-train.
Yeah.
However, it depends because you have fight camps. If you're in a fight camp, you're representing that camp, representing being the key word. I think that has to change a little bit. If you're just cross-training because you want to work out, you don't want to compete, you want to try different styles, then you're an independent Ronin, which is a wave man, right?
Yeah.
That's one way. My personal opinion, especially now as I got older, and now I'm training more fighters for MMA, and you're training fighters for competition as well. Right. We know what it's like when you start bringing your knowledge. We put our bodies to the line.
Yeah.
We put our money, our bodies, our spirit, our time. We took time away from the family. We invested a lot of what we have and what we've gained over the years. Like you just said, 10 years alone. It's a sacrifice. So now you got all this stuff that you add to it. You've evolved. You've added from your experience. You create new variations to what's already there.
Right.
And you want to teach it to your student, and Hickson said this on an article too. He says, and I understand this. You start giving who you are, your heart, your soul, to a student. They become more than just a student. You know, it's different because you have the business side of it, students that pay the bills, and you have your personal students. And then here you're putting into them, and it can be hurtful emotionally, but also you got to think about it. I'm teaching all my secrets. Now you're going to join another camp, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue with 3 or 4 fighters over here, but now you took 2 or 3 over there. Now what happens? We're going to meet up with each other in the future. It's not fair. You're going to know our styles. Yeah. It's no different than I think personally of when you see football teams when they try to cover their mouth when they're giving out pass codes and it's competition.
Yeah, it is.
It's fighting. So I think that people should try to understand that when it comes to the what is it? I'm trying to say the idea of or the opinion of should we cross train and should we go to different gyms?
Yeah.
I think it's a white belt. That's one thing. It's a blue belt. Now you're starting to get to. I mean, this is your area of expertise, but in training period, as a time period, there comes a point where you got to say, okay, you're gonna have to pick and choose what team you're gonna represent. What flag, as Hickson says, what flag and banner you're gonna carry, and that's old school jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, but nowadays there's so many. Like Marcelo Garcia has his door open to everyone from anywhere in the world, from any team at all, and like he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind that his guys go train somewhere else, and then there's people that come to his gym. So I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's hard to have, this person.
Hey, Deborah, could you get that? Oh, this is great. Let's do it. Time into this one.
Hold on.
People, listen to this. You gotta listen. This is this person that's been calling all these schools. Listen up close.
Okay. Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Hello.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Who am I talking to?
This is Eric.
Eric? Okay. I think it's the wrong number. Sorry.
Hello? Are you sure? Hello?
Yeah. Wrong number.
You're calling the...
Who is it?
Are you... Did you want to speak to Eric?
Who?
Hello? Hold on. Let me put you on with this guy. Hello.
Okay.
How can I help you this morning?
Wrong number.
Is it a wrong number?
Hello?
Or do you feel...
Hello?
You have power over me?
Ma'am.
What the hell?
Hello, Paulina.
Hello.
Paulina.
Can I help you?
Paulina.
I'm going to give the city back to the people.
Why are you laughing at me?
Dios mío.
How do you
Paulina.
How may I be of service to you?
Oh my God.
Paulina, why are you calling my school?
Hello?
Paulina. Why? Why you do this?
Paulinda, not Paulina.
Paulinda.
Mariana.
Paulinda.
Okay?
Paulina, you must be pretty.
My name is Bane. You may have seen me in The Dark Knight Returns.
Hey, listen. Do you know why you write some bullshit crap about me in the internet?
Because
Be
you're
careful.
lovely.
Be careful, your language is very insulting to me.
No. I'm a lady, okay? I'm a lady from another country.
From Puerto Rico.
Okay.
From
Respect.
Brazil.
Okay, adios. Goodbye.
I'm from
Paulina.
Mexico, except in the movie I have a British accent. Not sure why that is.
Paulina. So everybody, listen to this.
Oh, Jesus.
This person it's all over the internet. She calls all the martial arts jiu-jitsu schools, and so, tell them the story.
Yeah,
you know it best.
so she calls a gym and she only talks to women, right? And her gimmick is pretty much she'll call she'll call the gym and then start asking strange questions. Like,
my God.
is it okay if I wear a thong under my gi? And should I wear a rash guard? Mind you, this is a female, right? And it's insane because she just starts asking these
I
crazy.
can't believe she just called while we're doing a podcast. This is just too perfect. This is great.
But then
was
doesn't
real,
end there.
folks. This was real.
She calls repeatedly, several times, almost seconds after, like last. She'll call you 10, 15 times in an hour.
Yes.
And it's
Asking for the woman.
crazy.
Only-
And she only talks to women, right? But mind you, we made her laugh, which is pretty funny. So she knows.
we're onto
Yeah,
her.
she knows we're
She
out there.
knows she's liking this school.
Right. But she's been
like us.
doing this for years. And
Yeah.
and if I gotta find the article. And,
I hope she even sees this podcast.
I mean,
this fun. This is great.
She's a part of the pod. She was our first guest. Our first guest,
They couldn't
Paulinda.
have asked for this to be that much better.
Paulinda
this is
Miriam.
perfect.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
Yeah, it was so cool.
She was like, hello. She started laughing.
And I
you
told
guys are crazy.
I
That
told
was-
John, the next time she calls, I'm gonna pretend I'm Bane from the movie. So, and the bells and whistles are going off, ladies and gentlemen, because Paulinda,
Now you understand why this is called
shot to the
Shot
nog.
to the Nog. It's the perfect. Oh my
Man,
God.
that was out of nowhere.
And it was perfect.
Yeah.
We couldn't have asked for a perfect first
Yeah,
podcast.
this
is
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And so I guess
This is what's been happening, by the way, people.
Yeah.
She's been calling here.
this is insane. This show has no structure, but I'm totally down with that. That's not a problem for me.
It was good. It was very good.
Yeah, so as we got off on a horribly just off tangent,
was just
and then
too perfect.
Paulinda calls, which is
Oh my
crazy.
God! Wait till you guys see
Yeah.
this one. This
I
is
mean,
incredible.
look up the article, the Paulinda Miriam. Just Google her name in the article. BJJ Times put it out there, and she just pretty much harasses gyms for years, over a span of years. Like she'll keep calling the gym over and over and over and over and over until like people stop, like they block her on the phone or something. And in the article it says people have bought these air horns, and every time she calls, they just blast the air horn until she hangs up, which is hilarious. But so let's. I guess we can finish here now.
No, this is a great comment.
Yeah.
Why, we can't even ask for a better climactic ending at this point.
That was
guys.
pretty cool. So I guess we'll pick up next time. We'll talk a little more about my history in martial arts.
Yes.
But I wanted to cover John's.
Sorry that I kind of hugged this up, but
No, it was supposed to be all about you, sir.
I gotta tell you though, you guys gotta chime in next time. I could see this is gonna be fun, and we're gonna try to keep it exciting and fun.
Yeah.
So guys, look for this.
Yes.
Look for us and keep us in your daily or whatever we do this weekly.
Yeah, we haven't
agenda.
decided anything. This is as raw as it gets. I mean,
But I'm
you
feeling
know, it's fun. I like to talk. I like the sound of my own voice. And,
That is the sound of the end.
that's
We see you.
that's the doorbell, guys. So we'll see you next time, and take care. Shot to the nog.